14. Susan, would you take attendance, please? Thank you.
Valerie Anderson is Tony Bedini.
Here.
Alan Brown. Absent. Gregory Kava.
Here.
Michelle Gora.
Here.
Emily Hibbert. Here. James Hirschfield.
Yes.
Kelly Loeffler. Here. Jennifer Cody. Here. Michael Sinatra.
Here.
I am here. Peter Tagley.
Here.
All right, so we have Valerie Anderson and Alan Brown.
Alan's right behind you.
Ms. Leahy's on. All right, thank you. Item 2, opportunity for the public to comment on agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to address this? All right, seeing no one, we'll move on. Item 3, consent agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing no one, then the consent agenda is approved. Report of the chair. People have been busy. I'm happy to see that the school opening went off without a hitch. We received the emails. So I'm looking forward to Dr. Castellano's report on that. I wanted to comment on the retreat that we had. I thought it was productive. There was a lot of people here, and I appreciated that. And I made a commitment to try to contact board chairs from other surrounding regions, and that information has been assembled, and I will do that shortly. I haven't done it yet. But I have all the contact information, which took some getting. All right. I have nothing else. Superintendent's report. Dr. Castellano.
Yes, hi everyone. Happy September. Couple of things. First of all, we have personnel that we have appointed: Drew Barksdale, Vincent Cosentino, John Ferreira, and Kevin O'Neill. We have a transfer. Nancy Knapp went from ed assistant to a secretary. Tina Maritiano resigned, and we have 2 leave of absences: Regina Sipri and Emily Rue. Enrollment update. You can see it should be in here. I think we are at 745 students. I know Mrs. Gallo will talk a little bit about what is going on at Chapag, but we are getting some interest from public school families in the area. Everyone is enrolled right now, but we're also getting interest from private school families. So I think that's a good thing. Superintendent's goals. I had given you a draft of these, I guess, in August, and I am going to finalize them. I guess I should just read through them quickly for the public so that you know what I am going to be working on. And certainly the goals are very broad, and there will be many smaller objectives underneath. The first one is to continue our work with engaging curriculum and making sure that our instructional program is in line with the Common Core state standards. Mrs. DeBrito has been working to really make sure that our curriculum is up to date. Mrs. Ferreira has also been doing work in that area, and they will be in touch with the board to have a meeting for anyone who really wants to see the curriculum in detail on the computer and Atlas, etc. So that's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. Also preparing for the SBAC, the Smarter Balance Assessments, and last year they were given as a field test. This year they're given as the real thing.
What is it?
That means they will count. That means we will get reports from the state. We will have a school performance index and a district performance index based on students' performance on the new assessments.
Okay.
And will there be individual feedback, like student feedback?
There should be next year. This year, no. Okay, this year we haven't received anything yet. Yes.
And I heard that there's been a lot of pushback, particularly in the media, from parents of 11th graders,
Yes.
who are complaining that they're feeling that students are over-tested between AP tests, final exam tests.
Right.
We keep going SATs. And I'm wondering if you've heard anything at the state level as to whether they're responding to that or no?
We haven't heard at this point, you know, the state is in flux as always. The commissioner is leaving. It's a political year. So we haven't heard anything specific. I can tell you when it was brought up in prior years, it was really to discuss and to assess not only student growth between, you know, students coming to your school system in 11th grade, but really, are they prepared for college and career? And so the assessment is not only used for individual scores and assessments, but it's also used to look at your program and to see where you may have gaps as you prepare students for college. So we haven't heard anything yet. I know it is a concern, but you know, it's kind of part of life, unfortunately. That's, you know, that's what happens. With junior year, it's a very stressful year.
I was going to ask, how many tests does the average junior take in his junior year?
Well, it depends.
You probably don't know that.
Well, I do know if you are in AP classes, you're taking AP tests in May. Okay, so you can have anywhere, you know, it's a 2-week window.
I guess I mean standard, not class tests.
Oh, standardized tests?
Yes.
I believe, you know what, maybe I can ask Lori to give them more. Do you know how many tests they take in?
Juniors only take one standardized test that's mandated, which is the SBAC.
Right.
It used to be.
How many parts though? Is it, there's a math, there's a language arts?
Currently, the science still resides in grade 10,
Okay,
and the English and math portion now reside in grade 11 with
Right.
SBAC.
okay,
But those aren't required.
right. But yeah, but the S, you can,
What parents are responding to is the fact that a junior also takes PSATs in the fall and their first SAT in the spring.
Right.
So now you add SBAC to that and any internal school measures, and it feels like a lot, and it is a lot.
Yeah.
But we're cognizant of that, and we're making our plans in terms of the kind of exams that we give to students, when do we give them, so on and so forth.
Okay.
okay. Number 2 is something I think we're all working on, and that's marketing the region and the district, and to really get it out there, how wonderful our schools are. You will see our revised pamphlet that got mailed today to the Big E. So we will be advertising under the Connecticut tent at the Big E. So we're very excited about that, and in September, I don't know, I should know the exact date, we will get the RFQs, and then we'll move from there, from advertising firms, etc. Teresa is working on the multi-age classes and grades. You'll get a report on that. Continue. It's very important that we build that administrative team, instructional leaders, making sure that we're all focused on continuous improvement. Continue working with Chippewa to make this the best 6-12 institution it can be. Number 5, the teacher evaluation program, which we are working on, which is really a continuous cycle. 6 is continue with our technology in a digital learning environment. 7 is our NEAS visit. So we're really preparing for our NEAS visit in March, which I know Ms. Gallo will speak about. And also, one of the things I'm doing is working with the alumni coordinator and trying to get an alumni program started. We have a lot of things in the work for the open houses that are coming up to get people to sign up. Continuous communication program, working on the TV studio and the video production. This week we are planning our first new shows with our new staff. I think as a board, working together to grow professionally. Hopefully plan a referendum of some sort to address Chippewa. And then, of course, a budget that allows us to continue to use our resources efficiently and effectively. So those are my goals.
All right.
Okay.
Hold on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just had a question. I don't see it on the agenda, but maybe you can just let us know what the status is on the public relations firm. There's an RFQ out, or?
Yeah, the RFQ is due this month. So as soon as it's due, it's in, We will get a group together to come in and read them, and then we'll have some presentations in front of the board. Okay, so we'll schedule that as soon as it's in.
One of the issues I think that's still important, which you said you would be working on, one aspect of attracting students of the parental community is to be special
Yes.
and to be elite in many aspects. And I mentioned many moons ago, you said you'd be working on it. I don't know how easy or isn't easy it is to do that, but I think it would add an elite aspect to the school system when they see the names of the people who live in these three towns, who are experts in their fields of government, business, education, et cetera, writing, literacy, all that stuff. I think that would be really,
We are working on that. We
Yeah, I
had
know
a
it's
meeting
difficult,
last
yeah.
week. Mrs. Gallo will talk about some of the things we have in the works. I can tell you with the alumni coordinator, I was at Central Connecticut State University this week, and they have great on the polls, like, what did they call it? Or something alumni, or prestigious alumni with their picture, their year, so we're gonna get that around the building. So we're working on it. It just takes a little time.
no, it's difficult, I understand.
Yeah, but we're working on it. Before Kim goes, I just want to let you know, Mr. Sinatra hooked us up with ABC Wilton, and Jen Cody and I are going October 21st to meet the president and get a tour, and that's a program where they bring in students who have high academic achievement, but maybe live in areas that are not meeting their needs, and they've opened homes for them, residential homes, and they bring them into the schools, and it helps with diversity and bringing some population in, so we're going to look at that. Anyone else would like to come? Doing that on October 21st, you're more than welcome to come.
If I may, if anybody on the board has any ideas for Jennifer and I, and Dr. Cosentino, we're just starting up an exploratory committee at this point. So we're really looking for people who are obviously interested in the issues of diversity.
Can you explain the program a little more?
Sure. ABC is a program that's a national program. It stands for A Better Chance, and again, it takes students who are from disadvantaged neighborhoods and backgrounds, typically with public schools that are below par. Some of these are quote-unquote failing schools, often in places like New York City and major urban centers typically are where they pull students from. Minority students primarily, and they take these students and they place them in public schools. And think of it as kind of a model, a private school model for public school students in this case. So you're looking for housing. It's a residential program. So we'd be trying to identify, a donor, somebody in the three towns who would be interested in the issues of diversity, promoting diversity in our communities. It's a wonderful program. I mean, if you meet some of these young people, I was lucky enough to mentor one young man at Wilton High as a teacher, and there are dozens of ways that the community really has to kind of be on board to support the ABC program. There are people who, would not just be writing checks that we would need. We also need people who would consider being a weekend host family. So during the week, they would be staying in a house if we ever get that far and can open up a home for these students. And on weekends, they'd be staying with local families. We need local families to volunteer with things like drivers. Like, for example, if they wanted to get to the train station, we need that level of support. Mentors, somebody who said, I'd be willing to, I have a degree in chemistry, and I'd be willing to tutor any students in the ABC house who need some chemistry support. I mean, there's so many different ways that we're going to be looking for support. So,
And the program is in what towns in Connecticut?
yeah, right now in Connecticut, it's in about, I think, 6 different communities. There are, I think, like Avon and maybe Farmington in the Hartford area, and then primarily all the rest are in Fairfield County, but Ridgefield, Wilton, New Canaan, Darien, and Westport, I know, have ABC programs.
And then students get interviewed and get.
Yes, it's, they're called ABC Scholars because they would apply for a position. For example, if we open up a program here, a residential community here at Wilton High, students who are interested in coming to our community would apply, like they would be applying to go to a private school. And so they're typically students who are gifted or academically talented in some way. So,
Susan?
So this is an established program, and the criteria are already established?
yes, yeah, and like I said, it's a national program. The headquarters of ABC is in New York City, but in Connecticut there are 6 established residential communities.
They have a great website, you can go on the website.
You could read more about it.
They said, when I spoke to, I think his name is John Kelly, he said that Wilton is one of the few towns that has both a female and a male residential. Most of them have one or the other. They don't have both.
And if we move forward, that would be one of the discussions we
Right.
need to have is what type of a home would we want to set up. So if anybody again has any ideas or any interest in this, the more heads we have on this, the better. And even if you don't necessarily have the time as a board member to help us out, you may know somebody in one of the 3 towns that this would be right up their alley. This is an issue that they might be passionate about. Just on the issue of diversity alone, I don't know if any of you saw the headline on the News Times. It looked at diversity in public schools, and guess which area in the greater Danbury area had the least amount of diversity? That would be Region 12.
Yeah, a little low.
Yeah. So I really think it's important for us as a community to address it, and there's certainly a need. And the community, the communities that our students are going to be moving to, by whether they're in college or beyond, are very, very different places than our 3 towns right now. And so we need to prepare them for that.
The other thing I saw I think it was 60 Minutes last night, I'm not sure, but in Vermont, they had schools, same kind of program, but for refugees. So I was thinking about, looking up there and seeing, what they're doing, because there is a need right now for all the refugees that came from Central America. So it's a thought, it's interesting.
Be sure you were looking.
Definitely would make us special. So, and the other thing, tomorrow morning from 10 to 1, we do have the selectmen coming to do a follow-up of the lease walk that we did in May. I'm hoping that at that point we can get them, with Greg's leadership, to look at what they put together, see what they want to move on, and then get something to the board, and then start the process again if we have to.
Pat, could I just correct something you said? It's actually not a follow-up on May. This is actually the annual meeting that's provided for in the lease.
Okay,
May was done because the prior meeting did not take place.
Okay.
This is actually the regular.
okay, good. So we're doing that tomorrow morning. And that's my report.
If I can just go back to 1.52, personal appointments. Lizzie Costantino, is that your son?
Yes, it is.
How old is he?
It'll be 27 on Sunday.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead. 5.5, is that what we're doing?
Yes, Mrs. Gallo is going to give an update about Shabbat. And we really have been doing a lot of work. And I'm very proud of Mrs. Gallo and her staff. They really are rising to the occasion.
The report that Dr. Costantino and I talked about was a very brief one, I promise, and on the future of Chapag. So I thought it was important to talk a little bit about what kind of things we're doing to maintain our rigorous and engaging atmosphere in a changing population. And I'm going to talk about 3 aspects of it. There are more, but this is a good introduction for you. One is transitions to and from Chapag, because I think it's important for you to have an accurate rendering of who comes, who goes. Second is how do we maintain these rigorous and engaging programs in the eventuality that the population goes down. And then breaking the boundaries of the schedule which is the, in my mind, a very exciting part of looking forward and looking at sustainability for our school. Transitions to and from Chapag, 32 students left and 24 came to Chapag since June. 18 students moved out of our district and 3 moved in. 5 of our students left to attend technical schools in grade 9. That's Nonalog and Oliver Wolcott Tech. 2 left to attend parochial schools, 1 in grade 7, 1 in grade 10, and 4 left to attend private schools, 3 to the Gunnery in grade 9, and 1 to Canterbury in grade 11. And just for the sake of absolute accuracy, of those 3 to the Gunnery, 2 were twins. I don't know if they count as 2. Just saying. Okay. 6 students registered from private schools. So now we're talking about the influx into Chapag. 6 students registered from private schools. We got 3 students from Rumsey, 1 from Montessori, 1 from Glenholm, and 1 from Williston, Northampton. While 6 left to attend parochial and private schools, 6 came back. If you add up those numbers. 2 of our students left to be homeschooled. 1 student came back from homeschooling. 1 student arrived from a magnet school for grade 9, 1 exchange student from Spain, and 6 Sherman students registered this year. So the accurate numbers in terms of this great movement that we hear about is really fairly inaccurate. While there is movement, actually our biggest problem is that we have a lot of kids moving out, a lot of families moving out, and not as many moving in. That's the biggest piece of this, 18 out and 3 in. And then we do have 5 students that left to attend technical schools, which are aspects of education that we're not equipped to provide. Rigorous and engaging programs, which is far more fun than just a report of transition. 100% of our students graduated from Chapag last year. That is the A, isn't it? Sure is. And that's a very purposeful statistic in terms of providing challenging and interesting courses that meet our students' needs. Relevancy is what gets kids to that graduation stage. And we are looking at that very closely. One of the things that we are doing right now is exploring dual enrollment in college courses for high school, as well as for college credit. Todd Dyer and I are going to a meeting this week at UConn Torrington regarding their future, enhanced awareness of their offerings, potential improvements in their course offerings, and how can we be of help in that? Can we offer more at Chapag for our students? Our counseling department will also survey our high school students to obtain data regarding their interest in concurrent enrollment. Where does the interest lie? What would that look like for our kids? There are a lot of different ways to do that. Let's get some real data on what our students have an interest in, have curiosity in, and so on and so forth. Our elective classes are being very carefully moved in a direction to make them part of preparations to college and career readiness. No more are elective offerings simply, I think I might try this, I think I might try that. Links are being made to college and career readiness, and programs are being developed so that students are being led through pathways as they explore their interests. In music, we are looking at offering ensembles throughout the day. First, with a small population, it is very difficult to make sure that all kids that want band can get band. When we look at how many singletons we have, which means we only are able to offer one section, something is going to interfere with band. And for those students, you may look at that and say, oh, it's great because it's only 4 kids. Those 4 kids have names and they have ambitions, and we want them to continue with music. So what we're looking at is offering ensembles throughout the day to relieve some of those scheduling issues and accommodate more students. But then we've created a music advisory so that the practice time for the whole group can be consistent through this music advisory. It also provides that familial atmosphere that is so special to a high school music program. And it starts in middle school. One of the other things that Jason Malley and Beth Harbison and I have talked about is when we have talented 7th and 8th graders, there's no reason why they can't start performing with their high school counterparts to really encourage that familial sense and those senses of experience. In art, our courses are aligned to create a progression. In art, our high school students start with a foundational course. After they've been moved through a program in the middle school, they start with foundations of art, and then they have very good information about where do you want to branch out in art. So that there's a progression, there's explicit connections in those programs. And in our career and technology education, under Sheila's guidance, we are exploring continuing Project Lead the Way with our high school students. We have a great deal of interest in our middle school students. It's a high level of learning, and again, there are explicit links to career pathways. So if you look at what I'm saying, what you see is that we're looking to make everything more rigorous and engaging so that we have students to continue with these programs, and they know why they're continuing. They know what they're going to get out of them. What is most important, and what I'm going to be coming to you for over the years, is we have to break the boundaries of our schedule. We have a perfectly good schedule. That's not a complaint whatsoever. However, in a small school, we need to break the boundaries that schedule provides. If we really want to start behaving to our reputation, which is a public school with a very private school feel, then we need to break the conventional boundaries of the schedule. This would look like something like an expanded day, where some teachers come in early and leave at an earlier time, other teachers come in later and leave at a later time. What would this do for us? Our students would have less conflicts because they'd be able to start choosing things at different times of the day in accordance with their needs. And it also would offer a chance for really motivated students to take more courses. And frankly, we have a wonderful program where we provide late buses. Why not use it better? It's good. It's great for sports. It's great for some of these health programs. Why not have that be something that helps someone to be involved in an ensemble, involved in a physics class, involved in something that is rich and rewarding and relevant? It also, down the road, could provide our motivated students with some time in their senior year where they've earned more credits than they need. Well, let's start looking at externships for them. Let's start looking at cultural exchange programs. There are so many other things that we can begin to look at as we begin to break the boundaries of our schedule. Right now, we are utilizing VHS in a very interesting way, and I thought you should know that, so that you know that the things that we're already trying are successful. We have one teacher who's teaching a German course which allows us 20 slots for free in VHS. Our students could register for 20 different slots. Okay? We have 12 students right now enrolled. We have 3 involved in engineering principles and 1 in engineering for sustainable energy. In the future, as more students enroll in virtual high school, they could be offered the opportunity to potentially meet with, say, our math teacher, who was an engineer for many years before she began her second career, and enhance that experience. Encourage more kids to take engineering. Sheila's going to be getting to them through Project Lead the Way. Sky's the limit. We have 4 different world languages going on right now. AP, French, and Spanish as well as Italian and Latin. I love that we have a student taking Latin. That is probably the hardest course to try to hire for in the history of high schools. And I've done it in a couple of places and it wasn't easy. And we also have a couple of just random courses that really have very high interest, and that is investing in the stock market, and world conflict, an introduction to the UN, and American popular music. These are the things that break the boundaries of the traditional high school schedule. These are the things that help our students to grow in ways that only they are imagining. They're looking at that big menu of courses and saying, this is what I'd like to do. So these are the different things that we are talking about. You're going to hear much more. Pat told me 5 minutes, and I bet you I'm over already. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yes, Alan? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm supposed to have you call it and apologize.
Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
The expanded schedule is very intriguing. It's great to be able to have more, obviously, opportunity to have a smaller student body. How does that work? Obviously, as you said, the late buses now work because people have sports. And I know that some of the students have you know, when they're in plays, that's afterwards, like they would have sports and they would be in plays. And I always wonder how they get all their homework done, but if you have an expanded schedule, is there time, would there be study periods during the day, or were you really encroaching on homework time with them?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I despise study halls. I
Okay.
really do. I don't see our students having a terrible problem with failing to have study halls. They're truly, in most cases, a waste of time. And frankly, it's the old saying, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. Our most busy kids get their work done. They're that sort of kid. They're motivated. They do those sort of things. Now, that being said, I have no problem with supplying them. We have our library open 3 days a week after school with a late bus. That's time the kids could get their work done before they go off to drama practice, etc. Our coaches know very much that if a kid gets behind and says, I need to miss a little time from practice because I have to meet with my teacher, there's to be no consequence. Those are the things that we do to make sure that they have that time. But frankly, I'm just going to give you my own prejudice. I'm not a fan of study halls.
Oh, no, I wasn't suggesting, I'm just wondering if that was part of it, whether there's a natural inclination then to have to choose between sports and another class, or is that going to be something balanced out by semesters perhaps maybe?
We'll see what it looks like when we get there. I mean, it's very easy for me to stand here and talk about these wonderful ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Cosentino has to do the hard work of making sure that we can make that a reality. And you know, be very honest with you.
Anyone else?
You don't have to do early morning Saturdays.
Early, yes, exactly. That it's not necessarily always during sports time. Early mornings and Saturdays could be an option in this.
Private school, Susan?
Could you review again the courses that students are involved in the virtual high school?
Happy to. 3 in engineering principles, 1 in engineering for sustainable energy, 4 world languages, AP, French and Spanish, Italian and Latin, and then the random courses which were investing in the stock market, world conflict, an introduction to the UN, and American popular music.
Mike?
Just a question about advisory. Are students keeping their advisor from year to year, or are you finding that you're having to shift them to new advisors from year to year?
Well, at times the shifts occur. However, the goal is to have them stay with the advisor. A lot of students do stay with their advisor for 4 years. The music advisory is being taught by the music teachers. They still fulfill all the goals of advisories, but they also have that time with their kids together to get some practice in and to be a cohesive group.
All right, anyone else? Susan?
I'm sorry, one more question. The 100% graduation rate, I mean, that's fantastic. You hear an awful lot from young adults or new grads. Can you address what is being done to ensure that students have a stronger forward focus at the time of graduation? That they're graduating, but they know what they want to do beyond.
Right. We do a lot, the counseling department does a lot of different things to make sure that each student leaves with a plan. About 90% of our kids go to college. That's not necessarily a plan, but they've also had interest inventories and different things. They've developed their portfolio with their counselor that talks about their interests, their strengths, their weaknesses, and so forth. For those kids who are looking for a military transition, that one becomes very simple because, you know, let's face it, recruiters don't exactly let them slack on that. And then we have students that are kind of struggling a bit in high school, struggling a bit in what they want to do at the next stage in their lives. What we try to do is to get them involved in as many different experiences as we can to help them to have a plan for what they want to do moving forward. In an expanded day, I would love to have somebody like, in a previous high school in which I worked, CL&P would come in and they would do a workshop with usually about 6 or 8 boys, let's face it, and it was about being a lineman, which is a very nicely paying job. I personally wouldn't climb on that pole if you paid me a real lot, but you know, a lot of our boys got excited about that. That's only one example. There are many things that you can do where you don't necessarily go to college, and there are things that you're good at and you get involved in it.
Okay, and then Mike.
As far as early college credit, right now, where do we stand with that? Do we have, for example, in UConn credits that students can earn in certain courses?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have 2 of our teachers are trained and certified UConn as adjunct professors. And when our students take those courses, it's
Modern Euro and AP.
yeah, Modern Euro and AP Lit. They actually have, they leave high school, God bless you, with a UConn transcript. Not, if I take this exam, I get the credit. It's a UConn
Is there
transcript.
anyone else besides UConn?
Pardon me?
Is there anyone else besides UConn?
WestCon, we have our calculus program runs through WestCon. And we look for more opportunities in that as well.
So that's
Anyone
something you'd see growing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 6, committee reports. Education, Michelle?
I met with Teresa, I don't know, maybe last week, and we went over, we didn't put together an actual schedule for all the education committee meetings, but we sort of reviewed last year. We'll be probably touching on most of the same topics, but giving updates. And I think to start off, one of the first things she'll be talking about is the work that's done over the summer, an update on the professional development, and any new initiatives that were started over the summer. And then the list, I think we added an update on the multi-age classroom, just because that's a new initiative and we want to hear about that. But besides that, it's going to look a lot like last year's list of, updates and reports from the faculty on what's happening. So if there's anything anyone wants to hear about, I did add, because Valerie, I think it was Valerie had asked about the math curriculum in the elementary, so we added that to the list. If there's anything else anyone wants added to the list, please email me and I'll make sure it gets on the schedule.
Please do that if anyone has interest in that. All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, Connection, Michelle, any report?
Yeah, we had a meeting last week, and
Added Connection?
Ed Connection. It was the first of the board meetings. Fascinating. That I learned so many things. It's just it's just such a great idea of pooling resources together and providing programs for various schools. I got a huge overview of all the things they do, and I won't give all of that right now because it's a lot. But I guess a couple of things I took away from it is, one, if we ever, as a district, feel like we want to try something new, we should always touch base with them, because they can help us apply for grants. They can put us in touch with other districts that are doing similar things to organize professional development. So it's a great way for us to expand and be able to do things that we might not otherwise be able to do because we're small. And they are the Northwest District. They actually travel a little bit south, so they have 30 districts that they represent, but they have a lot of school districts in the same situation that we are. It was very interesting. The new chair is from Region 6. Litchfield was there. A woman from Falls Village, so Region 1 was there. So I'm sure we'll be discussing enrollment a lot. That did come up. A couple of interesting things. Of their 30 districts, they have 11 new superintendents this year. A lot of turnover, and they talked about why that might be, and they said that with a few exceptions here and there, they said that a lot of people, it's just been very stressful with all of the mandates of the Common Core and SEED, and that people who had been possibly thinking about retiring soon were going ahead and retiring. They hadn't seen that much turnover in a long time, so I thought that was interesting. They run a curriculum council once a month, and we've been participating. Teresa has gone. I think she may have brought some staff, and it's great. All the districts come together and they get to talk about issues that they're having. It's all about Common Core and SEED and the SBAC, and they get to talk about things they're trying, things they're struggling with, working together on writing curriculum. So that's really helpful to be working with the other districts. And if you can't make it there in person, they give you real-time minutes. They keep the minutes as the session is going on, so that we're staying in contact. So I thought that was really useful, and apparently we've been finding it useful. And then actually I forgot, Pat, I was going to email you, on the 16th, they're having a regional mental health services meeting to coordinate benefits. Chris Murphy's going to be there, a couple of other representatives, and superintendents from all around. It's talking about just coordinating mental health services for troubled youth. I think it's sort of in response to tragedies that
Happy
happened.
maybe going to that.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
thanks for reminding me.
September
right?
16th in the
Okay.
morning in Region 7. I don't know where Region, I think they're hosting.
Okay.
So anyway, lots of great stuff, and
Well, it
it
sounds
was
like
very
we, it
informative.
sounds like we have a great representative at it. You should be enthusiastic. It's great. Any questions from? All right, thank you. Facilities, Greg, anyone?
Yes, well, it's already been mentioned, we have the elementary school walkthrough, annual walkthrough tomorrow. And I also wanted to mention the facilities committee, our minutes are been shared with you, so if you have any questions about what we've been up to, we've got that, I won't repeat it. At the bottom of this thing, it says future meeting facilities, September 15th, 5 o'clock. I just want everyone to know that that is 6 o'clock, and we need to change that. It will never be at 5 o'clock for the next year. It will always be at 6 o'clock.
Anything else?
That's it, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Just ask the question.
Yes, Michael, sorry.
Greg, I don't know if you've looked at the budget that we had proposed for work that needs to be done that we had gone to referendum on. And obviously, we're looking to go back to referendum and get those funds approved. But I'm just wondering if there's any items on that to-do list that we could cover this within our budget this year. To pull them off of the list before we go back to referendum. I think there would be two advantages to that I could see. One would be that we'd automatically be reducing what we'd be going back to the public for in terms of funds. And two, we could move a little bit quicker than we would be moving normally, having to wait for referendum.
There probably are. What's happened to that list over the last several years is that items have fallen off of it because they've been done.
Sure.
And we have taken them and put them in the budget. And I think Don and I will sit down and try to bring something to the facilities to see what we can suggest. Because some of the work has got to be done.
Right.
And it's just not a question of work that can wait. It's work that has to be done.
Yeah, we understand
And so
that.
I think that's probably going to be budgeted, or at least recommended to be budgeted. So we will work on that and probably see how much of it we can get into the budget comfortably.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Sure.
Greg, the budget that you're.
Don is now running screaming from the room, realizing I've just taken over the next 3 days of his life.
The list that you're starting with is indeed the list that the facilities committee generated. That was the list, the 8.1 million.
Yes, that's the list
That's
where.
not a couple years old, maybe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and that list has been, that list gets refined all the time as items fall off of it.
But that would be the starting point.
But that would probably be the probable starting point. And I think we also have to come back with some things because we need to prioritize, especially in view of the upcoming NEAS and the state of things that need to be attended to. So we'll come up with some type of a priority from that list, but it'll be from that list.
I don't know whether this is a question for you or for Don or both of you. I remember hearing from Curtis that there was a list, or maybe it was mentioned in the last retreat, there's a list forthcoming for all the first selectmen as to what was done in each of the elementary schools over the summer. Has that been sent yet? Because if not, they may ask about it tomorrow during the walkthrough if that can be prepared.
Well, I suppose, but they're going to see it tomorrow. I mean,
Also, you're going to cover that.
Yeah, when they go through the schools, you're going to see it. For example, you can't miss one at Washington Primary. When you pull up, you can see that the curbs have been removed, and then it has been repaved through that whole area and remarked for buses only, and fire lanes have been added. And in fact, there were cones on top of it today, I believe, because it was just painted. But that, you know, things like
Example,
that.
things we'll see during the walkthrough.
And a lot of those things you're gonna see, Don will point out to everyone as we do the walkthrough, what was done over the summer. So that list may be kind of unnecessary.
Anything else? Greg? Okay. Valerie's not here. Bob, could you give us a report on our financial state as we start the year?
Sure, we ended the year with a preliminary close of $70,500 unexpended dollars. We took care of all the pianos and deferred maintenance issues, and that totaled 200, was it 200?
I don't know, you have the list.
$211,689.10. That we took care of there. Our current year, we're at 10% uncommitted at this point, which is about what we should be. And we had some good news when we got fixed pricing on heating oil and diesel fuel that was below budget. We moved the student accident insurance and saved about $4,000 on that. However, we lost money on the flood insurance, and it's up over 24%. That's the flood insurance, it's just at Washington Primary School. It's in the floodplain, but that's just the national
$24,000?
24% higher.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's a little less than $20,000 now. But if you don't take it, it's a $500,000 deductible, so. Not to put people at risk, you pay $20,000.
No, I understand. I'm not questioning.
Right. And beyond that, we talked about the capital reserve account, the 1%, we put the $200,000 into that. And the 1% capital reserve account at the end of June 30th, just get the right number here, stands at $1,000.
Say that again?
$501,000 uncommitted dollars. And then in the lease, the elementary lease, there's $233,000 in that account.
That's uncommitted.
So we've been doing fairly well with the 1% fund. As a point of reference, we've been able to put in $1.6 million in that account since 2006. So we funded it and we used it.
I'm sorry, Bob.
I said we put in over $1.6 million into that capital reserve account since the year 2006. We've used $985,000 of it. We have 140 left to complete, so it leaves us with $501,000. So you do have some money to make some, when you have some recommendations, there's some place to go.
Michelle?
Oh, I just wanted to add that the $233,000 that's in the elementary fund does not count the transfer for this year.
Right, this is June 30th.
Correct.
There's
So-
another $100,000
so-
has to do it.
I don't know if there's a
I'm sorry, there's
stipulation.
another 100,000 has to be.
It goes in every year for the lease.
I was just asking Alan, did we do the transfer to the towns after the close of the last school year? After June 30th?
Transfer? Yeah.
Yeah, we did? I'm sorry, okay. Just want to make sure that
Once
that's...
we're all cleared, right?
That was the 70,500.
Is June 30th preliminary close?
We haven't,
June
checks yet.
no, we haven't
We-
written those
we have-
checks yet because we haven't been on
We
it
haven't
yet.
voted, the board hasn't voted.
No, this is
No.
the last year's you asked me about.
The year, the school year that just ended.
No, we haven't done that. It's-
Okay.
We
that
did that in
was
like
done
November,
Getting audited.
December or something.
All right.
Yeah.
After the audit's all complete,
Right.
except the audit, that's when that happens.
All right, thank you.
I misunderstood what you were.
Any questions for Bob? Thank you, Bob. All right. Thank you. Negotiations, Greg?
Yes, we have, as you know, we recently concluded our negotiations with the nurses. That contract was approved and that's done. And we now begin negotiations with the Chicago Valley Administrators Association in October. We will commence negotiations with the administrators. And tonight was our meeting set aside by the Boards of Finance and Select related to that.
Good. Was that attended?
It was not, by myself and Mr. Cosentino, Dr. Cosentino. But other than that, there was no one else there.
I'm glad you extended the invitation.
I was there, right?
Did they go about?
Bob was there too, but
Yeah, no, invitations sent, right?
invitations were sent.
Oh,
and,
yes.
to-
Absolutely.
So I believe
Selectmen.
Selectmen and the Boards of Finance.
Oh. And we asked them to respond, whether they were to attend. We heard nothing from them as well, but all that went out on time.
That was with regard to the administrative negotiations.
That's correct.
We have copies.
Thank you. Policy, Michelle?
Yes, we'll be meeting next week, but at our last board meeting, we briefly talked about the email Jim received about our policy for non-resident attendance that we passed as a board. It was sent to council. Council gave us some suggestions. I spoke with Jim, and he said it was.
Suggested that you
That I
respond to the
respond.
letter.
So I responded after speaking with basically our policy committee at different times, but just making sure I had run everything by them. So I responded, and I'm waiting to hear from him. We were just trying to ascertain the legal ramifications of accepting or rejecting his suggestions, I guess would be the
Michelle
short
thought that
answer.
many of his suggestions were covered by the wording that we had. They were superfluous, really. Okay.
I didn't
So, and
say it
he
that way,
hasn't
but-
responded, so I think we're okay.
So so I will report back to the board if there are any changes that he recommends that we make. And that's it.
All right. Old business.
Wait,
I'm sorry, Alan. I'm sorry. I apologize. I should have mentioned this in my chairman's report. I did appoint Alan as chairman of the long-range planning committee. So congratulations on that. Alan?
As far as the Long Range Planning Committee, our first hurdle is meeting. And everybody on the board except for Emily and I are somehow either in facilities, not on the board, in the committee, are somehow either in facilities or finance. Now, Greg, I have a sinking feeling that the reason facilities is meeting at 6 instead of 5 is because you can't be here at 5.
I can be here at 5. It's that some members can't, it's a hardship for some members to be here at 5. And also, we were finishing a half an hour or more before the board meeting, and that's not enough time really to go home. So we didn't want these kind of people hanging around the school.
Well, I was going to whine and cry publicly about not having any time to meet, but now I don't have to because we might talk, amongst ourselves in the committee as to whether we can meet at 5 on those odd meetings, whatever those are before education.
If anyone has an interest in joining the long-range planning committee, please get out.
Glad I can solve your problem.
Right?
Yeah, I'm staring at something.
Okay.
Glad I can solve
Anything
your
else?
Thank you.
Any questions? All right.
I want to be here at 5 myself.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item 7. 7.1, consider motions to show support of schools. Dr. Preston.
I put,
I'm sorry, Alan?
All right, make a motion.
oh, okay.
It was in our packet. I think it's great. I'd just like to add the word elementary. So I would make a motion that we all support this statement. We, the Board of Education, are committed to supporting a comprehensive middle high school on the Chappaqua campus and an elementary school in each town to educate our students in the region.
Second.
Peter?
Well, I have a problem with the first couple of wording. I don't think it's strong enough regarding the middle high school. We've heard from members of the Bridgewater community that their goal is to close the middle high school and ultimately to build a K-8 system in the town of Bridgewater. I believe that. I have no problems with that if they could do it. I don't think it's a good idea. But whenever someone comes to me in Washington, and not many people do, one of the questions they ask me, are we closing the middle high school? And this all comes because of people who have appeared before the Board of Education. And I believe they have a right, if they wish to pursue, I have no problems with people who want to pursue that avenue. I don't think it's a profitable one, but the people in Bridgewater do not support the middle high school. They are definitely.
Hold on.
I believe that. I honestly believe that their goal is to
I think
build.
that's overstated. There's
Well,
plenty of-
it could be, and you're right to suggest
Very
that.
much so.
Nevertheless,
Would you move on? Okay.
that's what they allude to whenever they're here. They certainly don't pursue what I think we need to pursue. I think we need to change, we, the Region 12 Board of Education, do not plan to close the middle high school. I think we have to state that we do not plan to close this building. I think that's what parents are concerned about. The fact that that's what comes up from time to time from people of one of our three communities, which they have a right to do. I have no problems with that. And I think that's the real issue. And I think that's a factor for people in Washington. They want to make sure that we don't have a plan to close the middle high school. It is the largest building we have. It can hold the greatest amount of students. If you ever had an emergency, it could hold everybody. You could even put an addition on the building to hold everybody. So my belief is that we need to have a stronger statement. Now, if somebody wants to modify that, I'd be happy to support a modification, but it's my belief that we need to modify it.
In which way, in what way?
Well, my suggestion would be that we, the Region 12 Board of Education, do not plan to close the middle high school on the Chappaqua campus and do support a primary school in each town to educate our students in the region.
Is that a motion?
Well, it's an amendment to the motion.
Is-
You already have
is
a
it
motion,
an
Alan.
amendment?
Did you put a motion on the floor, Alan? Okay, so I would amend the motion.
Is there a second to an amendment? I'll second.
When we were at the retreat.
Jennifer, I'm sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. What's at the retreat, I know that we talked about all deciding to commit to Chappaqua. And then I believe it was Tony and I believe Valerie that also said that it was important to include the 3 elementary schools. But I hear a little bit of what Peter's saying, because for me, the referendum that we had secured a school in each town. So for me, that is already our commitment, because that's what the community, all 3 towns voted on. So we have a school that the Board of Education, of course, needs to support, because that's what the vote was. But the question is the vulnerability of Chappaqua and the concern that the staff has about the vulnerability of Chappaqua and making sure that people have a high school that they want to invest in. I feel that the elementary schools are not part of this. It's the Board of Education that needs to commit to Chappaqua. And if we want to make 2 separate commitments, that's fine, but that's what the issue was. So I'm kind of confused why, for me, the question is Chappaqua. We didn't have a unanimous vote on why the board members it wasn't unanimous. And so I feel like that is what we need to focus on. If we water it down by then throwing in the other 3 schools, it doesn't make it a strong commitment that we're carrying forward. So I think it should be just Chappaqua, middle school, high school.
Susan?
When I first read that statement, I thought it was specifically in response to the consolidation referendum and how that went down. I specifically thought it was relative to the elementary schools. And I think that with the word elementary is important because this region has wrestled with consolidation, and it's important for the board to come out and say, that is put to bed.
Exactly. But
So
that's
it
already
is
been done.
important to say that we support elementary, or
But we're
primary,
not-
I'll go with elementary schools in each town. I didn't even
That's
think, I
wonderful.
mean, Chappaqua, of course, we support strong education and something else. So we would need to add something else in terms of, the high school aspect. But
Okay.
this was all about, I thought the spirit of it, how you wrote it. So when you were writing it, were you writing it in thinking about the elementary schools?
No, this really came from a comment made at the retreat where I think it was Barbara Henry who brought it up first, saying that she was very upset by the motion that had happened, I don't know, in April, before the referendum, where the board did not 100% back Chappaqua. And she felt that was sends mixed message. She felt that people needed to support Chippewa and that the board 100% needed to stand behind Chippewa. So that's where the first part of it came. Then the second part came, I think it was Tony who said, I think we should add the elementary school in each town also. So that's where that came in. So the original piece was a statement from Barbara saying to the board, you need to support Chippewa and let people know that we're moving forward and we're not closing and we're committed to them. So that's where it came from. It was, I didn't write it like from my thing, it came from the meeting.
Just wanted to.
Hold on. Ellen?
I think that this motion, I mean, we're not, I guess we have to vote on the amendment first, but the motion that I made, I think solves both problems of making sure that the community and everyone knows, and the administration knows, that we support the middle high school here. And that it also says that we are standing behind the referendum as a board for the elementary schools. And I think to Peter's point, I know somebody sent Pat a great letter to the editor that came from our Kathy Bickstrom, which really explained, it was kind of excoriated the spectrum a little bit, because she felt that the article that was written that has caused so much reaction from Peter and from Jay Hubblebank and from Mark Lyon and from Barbara and from others on this board was kind of a sensationalized headline, but the article actually got to the point. But if you just really took, kind of the newsy sensationalism, it made it seem as if, as Peter said, we're gunning to, build a K-8 school. And that isn't the case, and we felt rather misrepresented in the papers by that. And I'll find that link and forward it to you all so you can see, because I think it really does state the way Bridgewater actually feels about it much better, as Curtis and I tried to make clear that night at the retreat. And I think, Peter, to your concern, that's why I wanted to add the word elementary school here, because we don't support a K-8 school in each town, or in one of the towns, or in any of the towns. We support a 6-12 school here, and an elementary school in each town, and we're not, and I think that, to me, is what helps solidify this, so that we are saying that, and as I said before in the retreat, in Bridgewater, we feel it necessary to explore all options so that we can hopefully have better alternatives to the very loud option that you're hearing now. But this board doesn't need to entertain options like that, obviously. We need to entertain options that support a comprehensive middle school in the Chippewa campus and a school in each, an elementary school in each town. So that's why I think that if this motion states a feeling of the board unanimously, that's all we can speak for. And that I think putting elementary school in there really makes it clear that we're not supporting any other kind of configurations.
Peter, do you still want to keep your amendment?
Well, let everybody speak and
Yes,
then
sir.
when they finish.
Jen?
I appreciate you saying that, because that helps me a little bit to understand it better. So I thank you for saying that. And for me, I just want to say that originally for me, the reason why I said Chippewa was that I remember when Dr. Constantino brought it to the board for us to support, because there was such insecurity among the staff up here, and that it was really important for everybody up here to feel that we were backing them. And that when Jay was at the retreat horrified that it wasn't unanimous, it raised a concern and a question, which was then when Alan said, please bring it back and let's vote on it again. So for me, that was the question that I had, was that now we're putting elementary school into it, where I feel like it's really important now to support Chippewa and the viability up here, because for me, once the vote happened for referendum for all 3 elementary schools being consolidated, it's a done deal for me. So that's already automatic. And the other concern that I also have is that with the long range planning committee, if we are so specific and and we try to find a way to work it with whether we multi-age classes or however we do, are we confined then to elementary school if there ends up being a K2, 3, 5 in one? And so that's my other, it's still an elementary school, I get that, but will it?
Well, no, I guess.
The long-range planning committee would apply to the whole region,
Yeah.
not just the elementary schools.
But also, this is not a legal.
I know it's not,
We
but
can.
we can be.
We've been
there's
concerned,
wiggle
we've
room.
been concerned with
Okay.
the rate plan, obviously,
Okay.
this is language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't understand, I appreciate the explanation, because I didn't understand how the elementary thing got in here. Not that I have an objection to it, just that I thought that we were gonna reconsider the Chicago thing. I think what's more important is we need to pass this, we need to pass it unanimously, and we need to actually move on to the business of supporting a comprehensive middle high school on the Chicago campus. I mean, we really need to get back to the business of focusing on this program. And I think if there's anyone watching the broadcast of this when it's put out, and if there's anyone who wants to say anything about this in print or media, it should be that this board is firmly committed to a middle high school in this region. We are not closing the school. We are not going to close the school. We are not going to entertain closing the school. There would be no point in closing a school that is turning out wonderful graduates. It's a very high achieving school. When your kids, when they do a study to try to determine, follow a class to see what their rate of graduation from college is after they've left us, and when our graduating class in that study places us in the top 9 schools in the state, when your kids get into MIT and Carnegie Mellon and all the other great schools that are listed in the brochure we saw tonight, it would be madness to close a high-performing school like that because somebody might think that there's a different way to do it. We are 100% committed to it. I think we should support this. Pete, I'm very sympathetic to what your amendment, because I think that's the message, but I don't think I think the problem is that it makes it look almost defensive, and when you put that in there, and I don't think it quite gets us there, but I think that the supporting message that should go out with this is closing is not on the agenda and won't be on the agenda.
Kelly?
I'm one of the people who felt that we should hold back on any support statements and make sure that they were inclusive after the referendum. So I am 100% in favor of that. And elementary school into this motion. I think it's really important that we respect the voices of our citizens. They've been pretty consistent. I also find it remarkable that this board that didn't like the status quo has returned full circle to supporting the status quo. Middle high school in Chicago, through elementary schools. Now the job is to move forward and to figure out how to provide an exceptional education in a demographically declining population and in a semi-rural environment. That's challenging. As Michelle said, we're not the only ones facing that challenge. I talked to Dr. Cartino about that a few weeks ago. I'm sure that a lot of other people are in our shoes. So we have to find a way to deliver education up here because the population will look different. I'm really encouraged, Kim's not here anymore, but I'm really encouraged by what I heard Kim say tonight. Because I'm hearing people start thinking out of the box. And if we think out of the box, we can provide a world-class education. But we will have to remove some strictures, ways that have been done, things that have been done in the past, and move on with some creativity. And if we do that, that's great. I think this board should spend more time on that. Less time on the kind of back and forth about the existentialism of whether this region should look like this or so on. Let's vote for schools in each of the towns and to maintain the middle high school, and then let's work to make it the best we can.
Michelle?
I just wanted to say two things. One, to Pete's point, I hear what you're saying, but I would prefer not to go into the negative language. I prefer saying that we're committed to supporting versus we don't support closing. So if there's stronger language to say, you know, if committed to supporting a comprehensive middle school, high school is not strong enough, keeping it open, supporting, you know, maybe there's a stronger way to say we support this school without saying we're not considering closing it. And then the other point I wanted to make is that I don't have a problem with the elementary school piece being in there, because I remember that was brought up at the retreat, and most of the tables seemed to support that. I agree with Jen that, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a given, though town spoke on that. And I don't want to water down the support for Chappaq, but at the retreat, that seemed to be what made everyone happy, is that it was sort of addressing the K-12, pre-K-12 continuum, and so it's fine with me. So I guess the only thing I would want to consider is if there's anything that makes the commitment even stronger in that statement. And I'm sorry, I don't have any ideas. Better language.
Peter?
Well, I'll remove my motion, and what you're telling me is that the wording that's stated here is the same thing as committing.
Well, read it, and are you satisfied with it? I am.
Committed.
Quite
Yeah.
frankly. If you're prepared to withdraw
It's
your
not the
vote.
biggest issue in the world to me, but I wanted to firm this concept. This is what you were asked in the Washington community by many people, since we supported a middle high school and a consolidated elementary school. And we therefore were concerned, and we hear other towns or people from a town supporting a different concept, and maybe finding a footing, I don't know. But it's important, I think, to me, to make sure, certainly for the time being, and since the future for the next 5 to 10 years, that we don't want to hear people coming in and saying, look, time to close this building, farm out these kids, and let's do K-8 in the towns. It's another way to go, and that's what we want to do. So that's my main concern, not to listen to that, and it becomes very divisive. So I just wanted to solidify the fact that are we committed? You know.
It says committee, uses the word committee.
Okay.
Are you withdrawing
Yeah,
your
I'll
motion? I'll withdraw my second. So we have a motion on the table. Good?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to wordsmith it, maybe less is more, and you would just say, we, the Board of Education, are committed to a comprehensive. That's one way to wordsmith it. By taking out to supporting, you're making committed a stronger word. You could say we are unalterably committed. I don't think you can really make it more than it is, unless Emily is.
I really liked firmly, but then I did the thesaurus, and it's kind of cute, but powerfully, roundly, strenuously, and I just remembered a few good men. No, I strenuously object. I don't know. I do feel like it needs to be a little bit stronger. I love it. I love
We
it
are
the first time,
certifiably
but
committed. Oh, wait.
it gets a little weird on the.
Everyone knows that already.
Really bold.
All right, hold on.
Exclamation points.
No, I strenuously.
Put 100% committed?
No.
How about we do unanimously committed and then vote unanimously?
Yes, except that was here.
What a
I think
concept.
it's fine the way.
Barry's not here.
Oh, well,
Well, that would still, still be unanimous.
Still be there.
Anyway, I almost am taking out the two supporting.
Yeah, it did sound better. It
Committed
sounded stronger.
to a comprehensive middle high school on the Chappaqua. It reads stronger to me.
Yes.
I agree.
All right, I would like to friendlily amend my own motion. We, the Board of Education, are committed to a comprehensive middle high school on the Chappaqua campus and an elementary school in each town to educate our students in the region.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right, Peter, second. All right, any further discussion? Les?
Yes, I agree.
Helen?
If some of the towns, people that Tony was mentioning, like to bring recommendations for K through 8 to the long-range plan committee,
Absolutely.
will that be entertaining to listen to?
I would expect so. That's one of its
So
purposes.
this is not telling them that you will not hear them on any other ideas.
Well, this is expressing our commitment.
Our commitment, but we will still be open to listening to proposals that our citizens want to bring forward.
Look, the reality is, this is a vote here and now. This Board of Education will constantly change over time. New boards can do what they wish. You know, this is our commitment right now. I think the board is always approachable. Certainly the long-range planning committee will be approachable by citizens.
I think they'll just want to be reassured.
Michelle?
I spoke with Valerie a couple days ago. I know she's got company in town. She wanted to be here to vote on this because she supported it. She got it in her packet. I'm just wondering.
Can we
Can't
FaceTime
call her.
her?
I know, because
FaceTime.
I know she wanted it to be unanimous. It's really important to her.
FaceTime her on her
Does
mini
she vote by
iPad.
FaceTime?
Does anyone have
That
a
rebate?
I know, I'm like, how do I
As
do
a
that?
matter of fact, It is possible for commissioners to vote by phone if you have a policy. I'm pretty sure I've seen a legal opinion on that.
Well, let's get her to do it if she's available, and then we can worry about whether it counts or not later.
It's unanimous for who's here.
It's unanimous for who's here, and I know she wanted to support it, so.
She consented later, what do you think?
I mean, I
No,
spoke
she
to her
can't
today.
consent
she was
later,
up-
but she can participate by electronic means in the meeting. Although we might want to enact
You may not have
policy,
someone else
right,
here.
of some sort to permit
Just
that.
a request, I have a feeling this vote is going to go the way I hope it's going to go. But one of the ideas that came up at the retreat was that the first selectman from all three
Yes.
towns speak united on this as well.
I'm gonna talk to them
So
tomorrow,
I was
it's
just
on my
going to say at their
agenda.
next meeting with them.
Yes,
As a board member, I would love to see that public commitment
Yes.
to a letter to the editor
Mhm.
from all three of them, signing it, making a similar kind of statement.
I almost would
I
like
think
to
would
see
be
a few
They said they
separate
would do
ones,
yes, I will
Yes.
mention it
I'd like to-
tomorrow.
just to
Hold
make
them
it
to
a
that.
stronger statement. Not a blanket.
Not available? We're not available? She's not available?
Here, here.
That cell phone.
All right, well, I'm sorry, we're
Should
gonna
I
have to
call
go
her
ahead and
phone?
vote.
I mean, her home?
Call her home.
It's not that late. It's not
All right,
like-
8:16.
17.
Keep calling it, someone named Valerie.
Alright, my call failed, sorry. I don't know why, I have two bars.
right,
No,
well-
I only have one.
It is what it is.
I just think,
What?
All right, I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to get Valerie, so we're gonna have to vote. And
Okay.
I think it'll be.
Valerie does support it, I spoke to her today, Valerie does support it, so.
All those in favor, is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, but passes unanimously.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right. 8.1, to consider if appropriate to approve funds not to exceed $20,000 for ice snow guards on the roof of Burnham School. Don, who's going to report on
I
this?
can report on this. At the last meeting, at the last board meeting, this came up, and we had not had the lease agreement, the meeting, et cetera. This is a safety issue, so at the retreat, I asked each of the selectmen for us to spend up of a maximum of $20,000. We don't think it's gonna be that much, but to repair the ice dams, the snow guards, to add snow and ice guards to the roof at Burnham. And, we're still following the lease, we're just kind of,
But this is from the elementary school
Yes.
non-recurring capital fund, the lease fund.
233 grand,
yes.
Right.
plus the 100.
Yeah, I just wanted, that wasn't clear in the explanation here
Okay.
of the new business.
Greg, as
item.
chairman, do you have any issue with this or any comment?
No,
on this?
as a matter of fact, I think it's a great idea.
All right.
Just for those of you that were not aware, because of a variety of reasons having to do with the insulation, the way the building's heated now, things, apparently there was an incident where ice sheeted off the building. It struck a steel metal railing and dented it. And I mean, it put a dent about this deep.
18-inch deep.
Yeah, it's a huge dent that's in this thing, and can you imagine if that had struck a person or a car, maybe a horse? And this has to be done, it has to be done before the next season. This occurred last year. So absolutely, we must do it.
Anything for Bob?
Just if you add to be funded from the elementary, so it's clear where we're taking that money.
Okay.
Being funded from the elementary
All
capital.
right, what was the motion then?
I'd like to move that we approve funds not to exceed 20,000 for ice snow guards on the roof.
Second.
Hold on, she's not done. Of the Burnham School to be appropriated from,
To be appropriated from the lease fund.
That's fine.
all right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jen. Anything further? Peter? Any questions? No. All right. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? That's unanimous. That's it. There's no executive session, no action. Move to adjourn.
Let me just remind everyone, we have a meeting next Monday. We're having 2 in a row, then we'll have a week off, and then we'll have a retreat. So,
Okay, so
read up the
Monday,
advantage.
Monday the 15th, 7 o'clock. This is the regular board meeting.
Right, and then the retreat is the 29th.
Is that here?
Yes, we'll do some work on the advantage of the board.
All
Catholics have a
Things are
lot of
going along reasonably well, so thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Is it Catholic
All those in
board?
favor, say
Catholics have a
aye.
lot of-
Adjourn, thank you.
Yeah, I will